Before coins as we know them existed, people in ancient Italy had other ways to trade. It was a world of barter and exchange, where value was measured in goods or chunks of metal. The earliest Italians, like the Etruscans and other Italic tribes, used rough pieces of bronze called. These were just unformed lumps of metal, valued purely by their weight. Imagine traders in a bustling marketplace placing these heavy bronze pieces on a scale to buy grain or a new pot. There was no standard shape or design, just the raw material itself. This was money in its most basic form, a simple but effective way to store and transfer wealth in a society slowly moving towards a more complex economy. Over time, these simple lumps evolved. The next step was the E, which means signed bronze. These were large rectangular bronze ingots, almost like bricks of metal, but with a simple design stamped on them. This was a huge leap forward. The stamp, perhaps a symbol like a branch or an animal, acted as a guarantee from whoever made it. It certified the weight and purity of the bronze. This meant you didn't have to weigh the metal every single time you made a transaction. It was a step towards trust and standardization, the very foundations of a proper currency system. These heavy bronze bars were the true ancestors of Roman money, laying the groundwork for the intricate coinage to come. While the people of central Italy were using these heavy bronze bars, something very different was happening in the south. Southern Italy and Sicily were home to thriving Greek colonies, an area known as Great Greece. These Greek cities brought with them a revolutionary idea from their homeland: small, round, precious metal coins. They minted beautiful silver coins, like the famous drachma and stata. These coins were works of art, featuring intricate designs of gods, goddesses, mythical creatures, and symbols of their city. For example, the city of Sybaris had coins with a bull, while Taras, modern Taranto, showed a boy riding a dolphin. This created a fascinating contrast on the Italian peninsula. In the north and center, you had the Italic peoples trading with cumbersome bronze bars, a system based on weight and raw material. In the south, you had the sophisticated Greeks using elegant silver coins, a system based on artistry, state authority, and precious metal. These two worlds existed side by side for centuries. The Greek coins, with their beauty and convenient size, were influential. They showed the Romans and other Italian peoples what money could be. Not just a lump of metal, but a symbol of identity, a piece of art, and a powerful tool of state propaganda that could fit in the palm of your hand. As Rome grew from a small city-state into a regional power, its leaders realized they needed a more organized system of money. They moved beyond the simple bronze bars and created their first true coinage, the heavy bronze. These were enormous, cast bronze coins, some weighing as much as a Roman pound, which is about 324 grams. They were so heavy, you certainly wouldn't carry many in your pocket. Each coin had a value mark, often shown as dots or the Roman numeral I for 1 unit, and a design. Early designs often featured the two-faced god Janus on one side and the prow of a warship on the other, a powerful symbol of Rome's growing naval strength. These huge bronze coins were practical for local trade, but were far too heavy for a sprawling republic. As Rome's influence expanded across the Mediterranean, they came into contact with the silver-based economies of the Greeks and Carthaginians. To compete and pay their soldiers in foreign lands, Rome needed a coin that was more valuable and portable. Around 211 BCE, during the brutal Second Punic War against Hannibal, Rome introduced a revolutionary new coin, the silver denarius. This small silver coin was worth 10 bronze, the plural of. It was a game changer. It was light, valuable, and easy to carry, perfect for paying legions and conducting international trade. The design of the denarius became a powerful tool for the ambitious families of the Roman Republic. At first, the coins featured standard imagery, like the helmeted head of the goddess Roma on the front, the obverse, and the twin gods Castor and Pollux on horseback on the back, the reverse. But as the Republic wore on, powerful men began to use the coins to promote their own families and achievements. A general might put a symbol of his military victory on a coin. a politician might feature an image of one of his famous ancestors. This was a form of personal branding, a way to circulate their fame and influence throughout the entire Roman world, long before social media was ever imagined. Alongside the silver denarius, the Romans also produced a gold coin called the aureus. In the Republic, the aureus was not minted as regularly as the denarius. It was usually reserved for very large payments, military bonuses, or special occasions. Its value was immense, typically worth 25 denarii. The introduction of the denarius and the aureus marked a pivotal moment. Rome had created a sophisticated three-metal system of coinage: gold, silver, and bronze. This system allowed for transactions of all sizes, from buying a loaf of bread with a bronze to financing a war with chests of gold, aureus. It was the financial engine that powered Rome's conquest of the Mediterranean. When the Roman Republic fell and the empire rose, coins changed dramatically. No longer were they tools for competing noble families. Now they became the exclusive propaganda machine of one man, the emperor. Julius Caesar was the first living Roman to put his own portrait on a coin, a shocking break with tradition that hinted at his kingly ambitions. After him, every emperor placed his own image on the coinage. This was an incredibly powerful statement. Every time someone handled a denarius or an aureus, they were looking at the face of their ruler. The emperor's portrait, spread across millions of coins, ensured that his image reached every corner of the vast empire, from the misty shores of Britain to the desert sands of Egypt. The reverse side of the coins was just as important for imperial messaging. Emperors used this space to broadcast their successes and virtues to the public. An emperor might celebrate a military victory by showing a captured enemy in chains. He might advertise a building project, like a new aqueduct or the Colosseum, by putting its image on a coin. Other popular themes included showing the emperor as a bringer of peace, abundance, or military glory. These coins were like miniature billboards, constantly reinforcing the idea that the emperor was strong, generous, and divinely favored. They were a key part of the glue that held the sprawling, diverse Roman Empire together. The craftsmanship of Roman imperial coins, especially the gold aureus and the silver denarius, reached incredible heights. The portraits were often remarkably realistic, capturing the individual features and even the personality of the emperor. You can see the stern determination of Augustus, the cruel vanity of Nero, or the stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius etched in metal. These coins were miniature masterpieces of sculptural art, produced by highly skilled engravers at the imperial mints. The quality of the metal was also very high, particularly in the early empire. An aureus was nearly pure gold, making it a reliable store of wealth that was trusted throughout the known world. This combination of artistic beauty, precious metal, and historical significance is why some Roman coins are so valuable today. A coin of a short reigning or infamous emperor like Caligula or Otho is extremely rare because fewer were minted. One of the most famous and valuable is the Aid Mar denarius, issued by Brutus to commemorate the assassination of Julius Caesar on the Ides of March in 44 BCE. It shows his portrait on one side, and on the other, 2 daggers and a liberty cap, a shocking and direct celebration of the murder. These coins are not just money. They are tiny historical documents that give us a direct, tangible connection to the most famous people and events of the ancient world. After the Western Roman Empire collapsed in the 5th century CE, the story of coinage in Italy becomes much more complicated. The political unity of Rome was gone, replaced by a patchwork of Gothic kingdoms, local lords, and invading forces. For a time, the new Ostrogothic rulers continued to mint coins that looked very similar to Roman ones, sometimes even keeping the name and image of the Eastern Roman Emperor in Constantinople on them. This was a way to give their money legitimacy and ensure it would be accepted in trade. It showed that even though Rome had fallen, its legacy and the power of its imagery lingered on for a long time. The Eastern Roman Empire, which we now call the Byzantine Empire, survived and thrived. Its emperors in Constantinople continued to mint a powerful and stable gold coin called the solidus. As the Byzantines, under Emperor Justinian, reconquered parts of Italy in the 6th century. Their coins became dominant in many areas, especially in the south and in cities like Ravenna. These Byzantine coins looked very different from the old Roman ones. The realistic, classical portraits of emperors were replaced with stiff, formal, and deeply Christian images. The emperor was often shown holding a cross or a globe topped with a cross, and the reverse frequently featured an angel or a large cross. This period saw a confusing mix of coins circulating in Italy. In a single market, you might find old, worn Roman denarii, new Gothic imitations, shiny Byzantine solidi, and even silver coins from the Lombards, another Germanic tribe that invaded Italy. This monetary chaos reflected the political fragmentation of the peninsula. There was no single authority strong enough to impose a unified currency. The quality of coins often declined as well. Silver coins became smaller and more debased with cheaper metals, and gold became scarcer, especially in the north. For the average person, this must have been a very uncertain time, never quite knowing the true value of the metal in their hand. The influence of Byzantine coins was profound and long-lasting. Their focus on Christian symbolism set a precedent for medieval European coinage for centuries to come. The solidus in particular was so trusted that its name gave rise to words for money and soldiers in many languages, including the Italian and the French. Even as direct Byzantine control over Italy weakened, their style of coinage continued to inspire local mints. This era of transition, with its jumble of different currencies, marks the end of the ancient world's unified monetary system and sets the stage for the rise of new, independent economic powers in Italy. As the Middle Ages progressed, a new power emerged in Italy: the independent city-states. Cities like Florence, Venice, and Genoa grew rich from trade, banking, and manufacturing. They became the economic powerhouses of Europe, and to manage their immense wealth, they needed a reliable, high-value currency. Around the middle of the 13th century, they took a bold step that would change the economy of Europe. They began minting their own gold coins again, the first significant gold coinage in Western Europe for centuries. This was a powerful declaration of their economic independence and their rejection of the authority of distant emperors or kings. In 1252, the city of Florence issued a gold coin called the florin. It was made of pure gold and had a very distinctive design. On one side was the city's emblem, a lily flower, or cing, from which the coin got its name. On the other side was an image of Florence's patron saint, John the Baptist. The florin was an instant success. Its high purity and consistent weight made it the most trusted currency in Europe for international trade. Merchants from England to the Middle East knew that a Florentine florin was good as gold, because it was. It became the reserve currency of its day, the medieval equivalent of the US dollar. Not to be outdone, Florence's great rival, Venice, introduced its own gold coin in 1284. This was the ducat, also known as the. Like the florin, it was made of nearly pure gold. Its design was also iconic. The front showed the ruler of Venice, the Doge, kneeling before the city's patron, Saint Mark. The reverse featured an image of Christ. The Venetian ducat quickly became just as famous and trusted as the florin. For hundreds of years, these two coins dominated European finance. Their names became synonymous with wealth and quality, and they were imitated by rulers all across the continent who wanted to cash in on their reputation. The creation of the florin and the ducat was more than just an economic event. It was a symbol of the immense power and pride of the Italian city-states. These were not coins issued by an emperor or a king who ruled by divine right. They were issued by republics of merchants and bankers. The imagery on the coins, the Lily of Florence, the Doge of Venice, was a celebration of civic identity. By minting these coins, Florence and Venice were telling the world that they were major players on the world stage. Their wealth, built on trade and finance, gave them a power that rivaled that of the old feudal monarchies. These small pieces of gold represented a new order in Europe. The Renaissance was a golden age for Italian art, and honestly, This artistic explosion was clearly reflected in the coins of the period. The stiff, medieval designs gave way to a new style inspired by the realism and beauty of ancient Rome. Rulers of the various Italian states, from the Sforza in Milan to the Medici in Florence and the popes in Rome, saw their coinage as a perfect canvas for self-promotion. They hired some of the greatest artists and sculptors of the day, like Benvenuto Cellini, to create their coin dies. The result was a stunning series of coins that were both money and miniature works of art, showcasing breathtakingly detailed and lifelike portraits. These Renaissance rulers, often called princes, used their portraits on coins to project an image of power, sophistication, and legitimacy. The portraits were no longer just symbolic representations. They were carefully crafted images designed to convey a specific message. A ruler might be shown in profile, imitating the style of a Roman emperor to link himself to the glory of the ancient world. He might be depicted wearing ornate armor to emphasize his military prowess, or fine robes to highlight his wealth and status as a patron of the arts. Every detail, from the expression on the face to the style of the hair, was carefully considered to create a powerful piece of personal propaganda. The reverse of the coins also became a space for complex allegories and symbols. Instead of a simple cross or a patron saint, Renaissance coins often featured intricate scenes from classical mythology or elaborate personal emblems, known as For example, a ruler might use the image of an eagle to symbolize power and vision, or a ship navigating a stormy sea to represent his skillful leadership of the state. These images were often accompanied by Latin mottos that summarized the ruler's philosophy or ambitions. Understanding these coins required a certain level of education, making them a sophisticated way to communicate with the elite classes of society. One of the most important coins of this era was the yi, a large silver coin that was introduced in Milan. Its name comes from the Italian word meaning head, because its most prominent feature was the large, realistic portrait of the ruler. The testone was widely imitated across Italy and Europe, and it set a new standard for portraiture on coinage. These coins perfectly capture the spirit of the Renaissance, a celebration of the individual, a fascination with classical antiquity, and a belief in the power of art to shape one's public image. They are a testament to a time when art and power were completely intertwined, even in the money people used every day. The late 18th and early 19th centuries were a time of tremendous upheaval in Italy, and honestly, the coinage tells the story of this turbulent period. Napoleon Bonaparte's invasion of Italy at the end of the 1700s shattered the old order. He swept away many of the old duchies, republics, and kingdoms, and established new states that were under French control. Naturally, these new states needed new money. Napoleon, a master of propaganda, replaced the portraits of the old dukes and popes with his own image, styled like a Roman emperor. He also introduced a new currency system based on the French franc, with the Italian version being called the lira. These Napoleonic coins spread a standardized system across large parts of Italy for the first time in centuries. A coin minted in Milan for the Kingdom of Italy, which Napoleon ruled, would look very similar to one minted in Naples for his brother-in-law, Joachim Murat. They all featured neoclassical designs, often with Napoleon's portrait or an eagle, and used the decimal system, 100 cents to 1 lira, which was a modern and rational innovation. This period, though brief, had a lasting impact. It accustomed Italians to a more unified currency system and planted the seeds of a shared national identity, even if it was imposed by a foreign conqueror. After Napoleon's defeat in 1815, the old rulers were restored to their thrones across Italy. This led to another wave of new coinage, as each state rushed to erase the memory of French domination. The Pope returned to issuing coins with his portrait and religious symbols for the Papal States. The Bourbon kings in Naples and Sicily minted their own currency, and the Habsburgs did the same for their territories in Lombardy, Venetia. The House of Savoy, ruling from Piedmont, Sardinia, also issued its own lira. Italy was once again a monetary patchwork, a collection of different currencies with different weights, values, and designs. This fragmented monetary landscape was a major obstacle to trade and a constant reminder of Italy's political division. However, the coins from this pre-unification period are fascinating historical documents. They represent the last gasp of the old regional powers before they were swept away by the tide of nationalism. The coins of the Kingdom of Sardinia under Victor Emmanuel II are particularly important. As he led the movement for Italian unification, the Risorgimento, his lira, featuring his distinctive portrait with its magnificent whiskers, began to circulate more widely. It was this Sardinian lira that would soon become the currency for a new, unified Kingdom of Italy. In 1861, the Kingdom of Italy was finally proclaimed, uniting most of the peninsula under one ruler, King Victor Emmanuel II. One of the first and most important tasks for the new nation was to create a single, unified currency, the Italian lira. Based on the old Sardinian lira, it replaced all the various ducats, scudi, and florins that had circulated before. This was a hugely symbolic act. For the first time since the Roman Empire, the entire Italian peninsula shared one money. A lira from Turin was the same as a lira from Naples, creating a powerful tool for economic integration and fostering a sense of shared national identity. The designs of the new lira coins were meant to build this national spirit. The early coins of the Kingdom of Italy prominently featured the portrait of the king. First, Victor Emmanuel II, then his successors Umberto I and Victor Emmanuel III. This was standard practice for a monarchy, establishing the king's authority. The reverse side often featured the coat of arms of the ruling House of Savoy. As the decades passed, the designs began to incorporate more broadly Italian symbols. A famous design from the 1920s, known as the Vittoriosa, showed a triumphant figure of Italy on a chariot, celebrating the country's victory in World War I. Among the most beautiful and sought-after coins of this era are the gold lyre. The Kingdom of Italy minted stunning gold coins in denominations like 20 lire and 100 lire. These coins were not for everyday transactions, but were used for large international payments and as a store of wealth. The 100 lire gold coins are particularly impressive. They are large, heavy, and feature beautifully rendered portraits of the monarch and elegant allegorical figures representing Italy. Today, they are prized by collectors not only for their gold content, but also for their artistic merit and historical significance, representing the ambition and prestige of the newly born Italian nation. After World War II, Italy abolished the monarchy and became a republic. The lira coinage changed once again to reflect this new political reality. The king's portrait was gone, replaced by symbols of a democratic and hard-working nation. The new coins of the Italian Republic featured designs that celebrated Italian culture and industry. You could find coins with a grape cluster representing Italy's wine, an olive branch for peace, or a rudder for its maritime heritage. The most famous portrait was no longer a king, but an allegorical head of Italia, a beautiful female figure wearing a crown of wheat, symbolizing fertility and prosperity. These designs became familiar to generations of Italians until the lira was finally retired. After the war, the Italian Republic made some really famous coins during the time of the lira. For many years, Italians used small aluminum coins for everyday shopping. They were so light, they almost felt like play money. A big change happened in 1982 when they brought out the 500 lira coin. This coin was special because it had two different metals, a bronze middle and a stainless steel outer ring. It was one of the first coins like this in the whole world, and everyone loved it right away. Its unique look and feel made it easy to spot, and it quickly became a symbol of how clever modern Italy was. The coin's design showed a picture of the Republic on one side and Rome's Quirinal Palace on the other. The Italian Republic also started making lots of special collector coins, especially in silver, to celebrate Italy's rich history and culture. These coins honored famous Italians like Leonardo da Vinci, Galileo Galilei, and Dante Alighieri. They marked important historical dates, celebrated Italy's amazing art, and showed off its contributions to science and exploration. These special coins weren't meant to be used for buying things, but were for coin collectors and tourists. They were beautiful metal tributes to the people and events that shaped what it means to be Italian, keeping up the old tradition of using coins to tell a story about a country's history and its values. On January 1st, 2002, a big part of Italian money history ended when the lira was replaced by the euro. Italy, being one of the first countries to join the Eurozone, started using the new shared money. While euro banknotes look the same in all member countries, the coins have a common European side and a special national side. Italy chose to put some of its most famous artworks and buildings on its national designs. The Italian €1 coin features Leonardo da Vinci's famous Vitruvian Man, while the €2 coin shows a picture of the great poet Dante Alighieri, taken from a painting by Raphael. Other coins show the Colosseum, Botticelli's Venus, and the Mole Antonelliana. Even in today's modern high-tech world of the euro, some coins can become surprisingly rare and valuable, often because of mistakes made when they were produced. For example, a small number of Italian 1-cent euro coins from 2002 were accidentally made on 2-cent blanks. Those are the plain metal discs. This means they have the design of a 1-cent coin, the Mole Antonelliana, but they are the size and color of a 2-cent coin. These mistake coins are super rare and collectors really want them, with some selling for thousands of euros. This shows that even now, the actual coin itself, with the chance for human or machine errors, can create unexpected rarity and value, continuing a story as old as coins themselves.